What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be reviewing the Power Queen MPPT 30 amp solar charge controller. We're going to hook it up to some solar panels and see how well it charges the battery. Let's go. Now, first off, just taking a little walk around the controller, we see that, of course, it has its solar panel input, its battery output, and then to a load here. You can also, here's where you make all your connections. Over here we have our, not even like an Ethernet port, but a regular phone cord port back from the 90s, this RS485. This will be used to connect to a larger system, whether you want to connect to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, even though this system is Bluetooth capable. We also have a temperature sensor port here. We have our display up here. Different LED lights for different things. And we also have a finned back to allow air to pass through. There is no fan mounted to this thing here. If we go take a look at the buttons, they're a little clanky. Usually the sign of a not so well made device, but we'll see how it performs because that is what's most important. So let's go ahead and hook her up and see how she runs. All right, now we have the Power Queen 30 amp solar controller all hooked up. As you can see, I have it going to the battery. It's currently only pulling in 20 watts because it's a bit of a cloudy day. I think the clouds are moving now. So yeah, there you go. You see it's picking up. And we have it out there on the steps again. All right, that's better. Let's take a look at the screen here. So there's one big flaw to this. I can't seem to figure out how to get it to read the watts coming in. It'll show the watt hours, it'll show the amps. This is how much power it's pulling from the battery, 15 watts to power itself. That means no air. It also shows the temperature of the controller as well, 26 degrees Celsius, 6 watt hours. So over the hour, it has brought in 6 watts. And it's pulling 7.2 amps. Now you can do the math and, multiply the amps by the volts. However, so 35.6 volts times whatever those amps were, I forgot that fast. But who's doing all that, right? It's easier to just, if you have a battery, you can look, say, oh, it's 91 watts. Now, but one thing that's good about this controller is it has Bluetooth and it does have an app. So we see here the battery's at 13.5 volts. Voltage is 35.1 from the solar input and the status is MPPT. We also see the battery banks currently bringing in 6.96 amps at 13.5 volts for 94 watts. Also has a temperature, and it has a temperature port here. And it also came with the cord here, but I don't have that connected. There is no DC load, and we can choose to turn on and off the protection. We could turn the DC load on and off here. Temperature as well, showing it in Fahrenheit 78.8. And then we also have today's data down here and historical data, parameter settings. So that is very cool. But I will say without the app, I'm not a fan of the data that the unit itself gives you. We're going to go ahead and let this finish charging this up. Hopefully we don't have any issues with the sun. I had to drain it a little bit. I used my vacuum to bring it down to 95. Oh, bumped up to 96. And we'll see how this performs once it's full, whether it stops and all of that. So stay tuned for that. All right, so we're all charged up here, as you can see, and it is not charging. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the app because, again, this is not really showing us much, but let's see what it does show us. Cover up that light there. All right, let's cycle through this. We still see that solar panel is producing 39 volts, 0 watt hours, 0 amps, 15 watts coming from the battery to power this thing. No errors, 26 degrees Celsius. 80 watt hours total. That's what it's used today. 0.1 amp maybe coming in. Probably to, counteract the 15 watts that it's using. And it's 100% efficient 14.4 volts on the battery. So there we have that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the app. Now I did have to close the app out. All right, now we see it saying 0% state of charge. Not sure what that's all about. I guess because it just disconnected. Let me see. Is this connected? All right, now we see that it's 100% state of charge. The battery's at 14.4 volts. The status is in float mode, so it is not charging. It's bringing in 1 watt of power, again, probably to counteract what the unit is pulling from the battery to power itself. And there you have it, 78.8 degrees. This did get around in the 80s. This got up to 29 degrees Celsius. There is no fan on this unit. It's just this fin designed to allow air to pass through. Yeah, it didn't get hot at all, so good job on the Power Queen. All right, and that is the Power Queen MPPT controller. I like the Bluetooth capability of this. The display on the unit itself, I am not fond of. I don't like that I can't read this thing simply in watts in and watts out. You have to do your conversions right there on the spot, which I don't like, but the app will tell you everything you need to know. The app is quite comprehensive, and I do appreciate Power Queen products for that reason. Another thing I don't like about this are the exposed screws here. If something were to fall in, you never know. I mean, it's not likely, but if something was to fall in, a metal piece, and they bridge the gap, you could have a short. So I would prefer that these be covered up like some other controllers are on the market. And I don't think that this would be a big deal with the fin back and everything. I think this, allows air to pass through just fine, especially if you mount this on the inside of an RV or just wherever. But I also would like to see a fan on this as well. So this should be fine again, but I do like seeing fans, even though, fans can fail. So that is another thing there. But I would like this and a fan to make sure it stays cool. But this overall stayed very cool under operation. Now let's go ahead and give it an eco score. Rating the Power Queen 30 amp controller. In terms of price, it's priced pretty competitively with other controllers with similar features, and it gets a 4. In terms of cooling, it's cooled using the fins connected to its body itself. That is not as efficient as fans, even though fans, yes, they can fail, and the fins won't. But generally speaking of cooling itself, fans do a better job, and it gets a 3. In terms of features, the Power Queen offers great features. It has Bluetooth, and it has everything you need to control it from Bluetooth. The onboard screen doesn't offer as much in terms of data output, so that kind of hurts it a little bit here, and it gets a 4. As far as the build quality goes, it's not all metal. Some parts are plastic, which is understandable because that'll be the part that you touch, and if it's getting hot, it could burn you. But generally, when you're talking about frames and it's aluminum, that helps dissipate heat, and it gets a 4. In terms of warranty, it has a 5-year warranty, and it gets a 5 there. In overall value, I really like the Power Queen mainly because of its Bluetooth features and its price. Build quality is fine and good enough. The cooling is a thing, but for me, I would keep it in a relatively air-conditioned setting, or a setting that wouldn't get too hot. So it gets a 4 for a grand total of 24 out of 30.